All right. Well, welcome everyone to our Saberwing Nature Tours program series. We're glad to have so many people registered for this talk with our guide that we work with in Guatemala, Maynor, who is here with us tonight, to talk about all things birding in Guatemala and how wonderful that culture is, both from a birding perspective and from a culture perspective. So we see Maynor there. How are you doing tonight, Maynor?
Fine, fine. Thanks for the opportunity to come and join.
We
Hi,
are
everyone.
we are happy to have you. Very excited to have you here tonight. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into the program. I'm going to share my screen here. From the beginning. All right. Is that visible now?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Perfect. All right. As I said, tonight we're here with our Saberwing Nature Tours program series to talk about birding and culture in Guatemala. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rob Ritma. I am one of the two owners of Saberwing Nature Tours. And normally when we're not in COVID times, I'm out leading tours all over the world. And one of my favorite destinations is Guatemala. And it's a wonderful country, not just from a birding perspective, but also from a culture perspective, especially because it's held on to so much of its traditional Mayan heritage. And you'll see that as we talk tonight during this program. You'll get to see how special that really makes this country, in addition to the incredible number of Northern Central American endemics that it has as well. Maynor, do you have anything you want to say as an introduction?
Well, I'm going to say just that I've been some years birding. My experience started 17 years ago. I used to work as a civil engineer. I studied and had a degree in civil engineer, and then discovered the birds. And I got crazy. Now that I decided to look for birds every single day in my life. So I quit as a civil engineer, and I became a tour guide. So that gave me the opportunity to travel all around the country. And in the past, we didn't have a certification for birding guides. So I took my license as a cultural tour guide. So it gave me both sides of the whole thing. So I know my country from the cultural side, for the history, for the archaeology, for cultural heritage. And then I can add the birding stuff around. So nature, it's everything very important in the Mayan cosmovision. So that's what gave us the opportunity to provide an experience in the country that goes beyond the birds. Birds are really important, and we can get really good places for these specialties for Northern Central America. But we at the side, we can have the advantage of know, for example, the food. If you come to the country, you can see that the food is really, really good in all places. But every single dish has something that is related to the culture. So, well, that's what I would like to people know about me.
Well, we're glad you gave up civil engineering and came into the birding world and are a wonderful guide for Guatemala. All right, so we'll get started on the program here. So to give you some perspective on where we're talking about here, Guatemala is one of the countries in Central America bordering on Mexico, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Kind of give you a little closer up view there on the right. And then just some quick little facts about Guatemala. You'll see the map there on the right. You'll see Indiana as the comparison. I'm from Indiana and live in Indiana, so I tend to use that as my default comparison for size. But you can see Guatemala is approximately the same size as Indiana. We skipped ahead there. It is 42,000 square miles. It has about 16.5 million people. So it's decently populated. It has the official currency is a quetzal, so that should tell you something about how much they care about birds in Guatemala. Their official language is Spanish, but amazingly, there are still 21 Mayan languages spoken within the country. So it's a fascinating place to listen to different languages because they can be quite different. Guatemala is a major producer of coffee, and that is one of the things I love about Guatemala because I consider it to have some of the best coffee in the whole world. Tourism is its second largest industry, and it's a great place to travel. And Guatemala is just an amazingly beautiful country. in a lot of ways because of its volcanoes. There are 30 volcanoes, and 3 of them are actually active volcanoes. So traveling in the mountains through Guatemala is really a beautiful and amazing experience. So why go to Guatemala for birds? There's 715 species of birds in Guatemala. 150 of them are regional endemics that you can only find in southern Mexico and northern Central America, making them very range restricted. And Guatemala is one of the best places to find many of these, such as pink-headed warbler that you see on the side of the screen there. Guatemala offers easy access to a variety of habitat zones, and this is in part due to all the volcanoes that I was talking about before. It's very easy to get up and down in elevation and hit lots of different habitat. As I said, the scenery is incredible. They have some great lodges to stay at from a birding perspective, and as I made reference to early on, there are amazing cultural experiences to be had in Guatemala. So today we're going to talk about a few different spots within Guatemala. Maynor is going to highlight some of the best spots that we love to take people in Guatemala. And you see the stars around the map, and that kind of gives you an idea of where we're going. Right next to Guatemala City, down there at the lower part of the map, is Antigua, Guatemala, an incredible UNESCO World Heritage City that we'll tell you more about in the birding around it. We've got the next star to the left is a lodge called Los Torales. You've got Lake Atitlán just above that. You have the Quetzaltenango or Fuentes Georginas area just left of that. And then farther up in that part of the map is Huehuetenango that has the very special Goldman's warbler that we'll talk about later. At the very top of the map in the Petén region, you'll see Flores, the major town. And we'll talk about Tikal National Park as well as Las Guacamayas Ecological Station. So those are the spots we're going to be covering tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Maynor to talk about some of these locations.
Okay, so usually when people come to the country, the airport is located in Guatemala City. Guatemala City is the 4th capital city in the country. We've been changing along our history from different places. But we travel about an hour to get Antigua, Guatemala City. It used to be the colonial capital city from 1543 to 1776. As Robert said, it's a World Heritage Site for culture, and it's one of the nicest Baroque destinations, Baroque architecture that we have in all Latin America. So this is the main street. This is the famous Santa Catalina Arc, and it's a very unique place. It keeps still the feeling of the 1700s. Most of the architecture is Baroque. As Robert said, we have a lot of volcanoes, and this city is surrounded by 3 volcanoes. So there were several earthquakes that changed from time to time the main architecture. So for the last stage, what we have is this Baroque architecture. So the next picture, you will see one of the best examples of Baroque architecture with La Merced Church. So this is so well done. So really, people got some more experience in engineering. That it was built in 1763, and it's been survived 2 major earthquakes in 1773 and 1876, and it's still working, and it's a place that people visit a lot because this is a very unique jewel of architecture from time. So we can continue to see some other pictures.
Doesn't want to. There we go. There we go.
Please.
Yep. Sorry, I just didn't want to click.
Yeah, and so we have several places around, and you can see the volcanoes in the back. Yeah, just by the left is the Pacaya volcano, which is active. And you can see that we're taking advantage of the place. And this is a small town, and it's surrounded by coffee plantations. We are 5,000 feet in elevation, and we're in the Pacific slope of the country. And as we mentioned before, there are 21 different ethnicities from the Mayans. So here is a place where there's Cachiquel people. So there's a lot of coffee around. Antigua Guatemala coffee is probably one of the famous from the country. We have 7 different regions of coffee in the country. So at this elevation, where there are some pine oak forests around and coffee plantations, in nature means that we have really, really cool birds and really cool places. So next picture, please. And one of the nicest places that I just 5 minutes from the main plaza is El Pilar Private Nature Reserve. They used to be a coffee plantation, and then they start to get into the ecotourism. So they made some wonderful trails, and they have some hummingbird feeders. And this elevation in the central highlands of the country, it means that we have really cool birds. So from here, in the next pictures, we're going to start to see some of these specialties. So the first time is the Rufous Severby. This is a bird that it's found just in the mountains of Chiapas, in the mountains of Guatemala, and in Honduras. It's just 3 countries just restricted to the high elevations. So Rufous Severby is a bird that is going to be for sure in this place. There are 7 different species of hummingbirds, and half of them are specialties for North and Central America that can be seen easily there. So our next bird is going to be the green-throated mountain gem. In some other places, really, really difficult to see some of them, but they come here to the feeders, so it's a really good thing. So we can get some good views of them. But we have, for example, the bushy crested jay. That is again one of the specialties from Chiapas to Guatemala, Honduras, and a little bit of El Salvador. And this is from the mountains. So this is a unique bird that it comes like grackles into the gardens in Antigua.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, one of my friend's son used to say, this is the blue grackles. So the next bird. Well, another thing is Guatemala is just the main gate to Central America. So right now in the middle of the migration, there is a lot of birds that goes like a funnel into Central America through Guatemala. So there is a lot of birds, nice bird that comes from the west coast and the east coast and comes all together. So there are some birds that are really attached to this habitat. So McGilvery's warbler is a very common bird, even it's from North America. In the same trail, you can see a McGilvery's warbler, and you can see a black and white warbler, and you can see a magnolia warbler in the same flock. So it's a very unique thing coming to Antigua, Guatemala City. And one of the regular birds, the wrens that we have here is a big one that is the bandback wren. So this is very, very noisy, and it's really common. It's part of the landscape of the city. So when we usually stay a couple of days here, and then we move because we want to get into the good stuff. So our next destination, and the next slide, is the Taqpan area, and this is a place at 6,000 feet in elevation, in a nice pine oak forest. And this particular place that we visit is a restaurant when we get the best breakfast on the road.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned, the food here in the country is really, really good, and we're gonna see why in the next minutes. But this is a very particular place because we are looking for these specialties in this particular kind of habitat. We are still in the Pacific slope of the country, and we're still in the area of the Tikal people. So at this elevation, in a very comfortable path because it's essentially flat. So in Antigua, it's everything easy to walk. Here in Taqpan, we're talking about a path, a trail that is really nice to walk. It's not. It's about like a mile. Probably we walk a mile in the morning, and mostly it's flat, so it's very comfortable. It's really easy to walk. And in this place, we can start to see some of these specialties, like in the next picture, the blue-throated mudmont.
There we go.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, Pluto model is one of these mods that is small ones. This is another specialty from the highlands. Again, just from Chiapas to Honduras. And you can see that they don't have the rockets on the tail. So it's this kind of mix from a tropical bird living in a habitat that is more like in North America. So the blue-throated model is one, but then we can see, for example, in the next picture, a blue and white mockingbird. I'm really happy that our country has a national bird as the resplendent quetzal. But I said all the time, if we would have a different one, it would be this one because it's exactly the colors of the flag of my country, blue and white. Even in some other places, they like to go into the bushes in the understory. But this is a place where it's not so difficult to see it because of this kind of pine forest that's more open, not so leafy as some other places. So we have really good chances to see birds like this in this particular place. Another bird would be the black-capped siskin. And I'm going to stop here because this is a member of the big 7 birds in the country. I mean, birds that can be seen only and exclusively in the highlands, in Chiapas, in a very restricted area in Chiapas, and just Guatemala. This bird, for example, cannot be seen in Honduras or in El Salvador. So black-capped siskin is one of these very, very exclusive places. And this is one of the places that we can see it. So in the good thing is by the time of most people is traveling, I mean from December to March, this bird is usually easily to find here because they are coming from the thistles. And this is the time that we are starting to be really dry. So they are very active coming into the seeds. So this is one of these birds that is really tough in other places, but this is a good place to come for this one, the black-capped siskin. But the big star, of course, is the pink-headed warbler. I had the opportunity to travel with many, many people from different places of the world. And we'll see that in the next places that people is looking for the horned one. That's a mythical bird. But everyone at the end of the trip said, well, part of the trip, the pink-headed warbler. This is a very, very unique bird. Did you agree, Rob?
Oh, every time. And that I try to tell people when I'm talking to them about Guatemala that, yeah, the horned guan is awesome and I love seeing it. But the pink-headed warbler will end up being one of, if not your top favorite bird from the trip. Such a cool species.
Well, and we have some more birds. But this one, so moving from here, we travel usually to the northwestern part of the country. So to Huetenango area, and probably the more isolated places that we visit. And Santos Cuchumán, that's the highest mountains in Central America. And we usually were in a plateau that is at 11,000 feet in elevation. We're still part of the Pacific slope, but we're going to find here a different kind of people, a different ethnicity from the Mayans, the Man people. And this place is important because it has a very high quantity of endemic species of any kind. So you can see, for example, this is a very unique landscape. It's the only one in Central America. It's so high in elevation that it looks like a completely different place. You don't think that you're in the tropics when you see a landscape like this.
Doesn't feel like the tropics up there either.
Yeah. So, for example, in the next page, when I'm talking about endemism, this is the Stanley's juniper. This is endemic of this plateau. This is a very, very unique thing. And most of the things that we're going to find here are recognized as species that are endemic or subspecies that you can just find here. So in the next picture, we will see that local people here is really, really into nature. So there's a lot of local birders. And from those local birders, we have a very good friend here that is Esteban Matias. This is our local guide, and he's a very proud man leader. So he started to put attention on the birds, and he started to report very, very unique birds. He started to find things that he didn't know. And when I say did, I say the whole world, because as we can see in the next pictures, for the next one, for example, we have, this is a yellow-eyed junco, but this is a very unique subspecies. Unfortunately, it didn't pass the request to consider a full species a couple of years ago. But there's now a lot of studies and DNA that show that this is a really isolated population, different from North America or the Central America. So this is a unique subspecies. The next one, the serrated quail is one of the birds that can be seen now more easily because, as I said, Esteban is putting attention every single day, and he's having and posting really, really cool pictures of these birds. So we're learning a lot because they are putting their attention on these particular birds. So the next picture, this is a rufous-colored rabbit. Again, it's restricted just in the mountains of the, from Chiapas to Honduras, and it's not difficult to see in other places. But this is a very, very common in this plateau. So it's almost impossible to miss in this place. Or the next one, this is a pine siskin. And I'm sure that most of you are going to say, that's not a pine siskin. It doesn't look like a pine siskin in North America. But this is what we would call a Chiapas siskin, because it's just related to Chiapas and Huehuetenango, a little in Quetzaltenango. So in the future, if they accepted this different bird, it's going to be in another specialty from Chiapas and Guatemala. Yeah. Or the next one, for example.
One of the best.
This is another mythical bird. This is a spotted savet owl. And again, Stefan started to say, well, if I can find good things during the day, I can find some more good stuff during the night. So now we can have really good places and really good views of this mythical owl, the spotted savet owl. There are some other things, like this broad-tailed hummingbird. And well, in North America, it's not a rare thing. But you know, if you see any book, and you try to see where's the distribution, it will show that it doesn't have any chance to be here in the country. And we found this bird, and we start to, and Esteban start to find the nest. So we know that it's a reproductive resident. In the past, someone saw it and said, well, probably it's a migratory or an accidental bird, but it's resident here. And when you have the opportunity to see, even there are some differences that make this a very unique subspecies that, again, were not supposed to be here. Or the next one, this is the savanna sparrow. Yeah, and again, it's unique here. It's nesting here. Esteban found the nest, and he's following and making records and everything that about this bird. And this is the mythical wet moray subspecies that people were not seeing for more than 100 years because they didn't know that this is the good place to look for it. Yep. And finally, even a subspecies for North America, this is the Goldman's warbler. This is the only bird that we know that is endemic to the country. And again, it's in the group of the yellow-rumped warblers, but there are some things that make unique this bird. Number one, look at this. This is a black bird. Yeah. If you see the Audubon's warbler in the west coast of the States has this yellow throat. The Myrtle warbler in the east has a white throat. You can see this one yellow with those white patches by the side. But probably one of the most interesting things, just beside this, the sing that they use, is the behavior, because they live in these junipers that are really short, 5-6 feet tall. So they are all the time coming into these very short trees and then going into the grasses. So a warbler that is looking food and insects in the grasses is a very, very unique thing to see.
This is just a fantastic species to see too. We've done the trip up there, and it's just really, really cool to see how differently this yellow, right now subspecies of yellow-rumped warbler lives compared to its migratory relatives.
Yep. I cannot see it. I have a blank here in my computer.
Blank. It's Fuentes droginas.
Yeah, I cannot see anything from my
Hmm.
computer. The screen is black.
Screen is black. Can anyone else still see?
Yeah, I can see fine, Rob.
Can see fine. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can see now. Back.
No.
Yeah, Fuentes Georgines. Okay. So this is the place in Guatemala to find high altitude specialties because we're going to get into a place in the car at a 5,000 feet in elevation. We're going to be in the Pacific coast, the Pacific slope of Guatemala, and we will get into the territory of the Quiche people. It's a different ethnicity. So we can see the next picture. You see, getting in from the town, it's about 40 minutes from our hotel. Getting from the town and getting into the area, you can see all these patches for vegetables. This is volcanic soil. We're in the slope of the Sonil volcano. And this is a very, very productive area. See, everything that you put on the ground is gonna grow really, really fast and really, really healthy. So all these patches are vegetables, any kind of vegetables, you name it. And that's the reason the food is so good here, because we have all the time fresh vegetables. We don't have problems with that at all. And well, that's the hard work that Guatemalans can have. This is a good place, for example, to see a full visal. And we usually leave early the hotel in order to try to get the bird. And when we get here at 5 a.m., we can see people working on the fields. So as I mentioned, we are there at 8,000 feet, and look at this. This is a paved road. It's flat. It's essentially flat. Yeah. So the pathways are really, really comfortable. And we're in the right elevation for this very, very unique bird that everybody loves to see. So there are some other facilities. There is a strategic lookout where we can start to spot and look for birds like X1, brown-backed solitaire. It's very easy to see here. It's really, really easy to see a full visal. That's a place that almost for sure we're going to see the bird, because we take advantage that we are a really nice forest, in this kind of cloud forest here, and they live in the night, during the night, into the open fields in order to catch food. Runs are very common into the fields. So early in the morning, they are going back into roosting places. So they go just in front of us. So they stop usually in front of the lookout, and we can have really, really good views, as you can see right now. But there are some other birds. And this is a perfect and magnificent place for the wine-throated hummingbird. This is just a little larger than the bee hummingbird. It's a very small one. It's just the second one, the second small hummingbird that we have here in the country. So this is the perfect spot to see the hummingbird. But we have some other specialties. So garnet-throated hummingbird is another bird that is just related to northern countries in Central America, high in the mountains. So the garnet-throated hummingbird, and time to time we can see some other things interesting, like the next one, because we can have a Rob just visiting and having some fun, looking for the big, big bird that we love in the country, the horned one. We can see the horned one here, just 100 yards from our car.
You're right. We just
It's a crazy thing. It's just a perfect place. People usually have the experience of the Dead March, going into different places and spending 6 or 7 hours going back and forth and really big hikes. But we find, and we're lucky to have local people that is start to show that we're the perfect time to see the horned one. As I said, just by the side of the car sometimes. So this is probably the most stunning bird in all Central America. What do you think, Rob?
It's an incredible species. Everyone is always just in awe when they see it. And I can attest from my first trip to Guatemala, I made that unbelievable death march hike up one of the volcanoes to see this bird. And then unfortunately on that trip, we spent many hours searching before we finally found it. I think we spent all day from sunrise to sunset on the expedition for that horned guan. It's pretty incredible now to be able to walk about 100 yards from your car and still get this just incredible species.
A drink of water.
Okay, yeah, so next place is Los Tarrales. And Los Tarrales is a legendary place here in the country because it was the first private nature reserve in Guatemala for birding. So the whole place is intended for birders. It's a place that is big enough that they can have more than 300 birds, 350 bird species. One of the big business here is the shade ground coffee plantation, and they're here just by the slope of the Atitlan volcano. So the property starts from about 2,000 feet to 10,000 feet in elevation. So they have a big range of elevation for different birds. So 350 is about 45% of the whole set of birds in the country. So this is a very birdy place. And this is a territory of the Cachiquel people. So again, there are different dishes here. There are different costumes when you see people around. And the way that they communicate each other is different. So Los Tarrales is a very nice place. And again, intended for birders. It's not a luxury place, but it's very comfortable. It has what really we want to have: good birds and good coffee. Yeah. So this is the lounge there where we spend some time before we're leaving, and when we have some time to time, we have some dinner here. And we'll see in the next picture. This is the kind of room they have. It's very nice, it's well set, it's very comfortable. And again, you don't want to stay in the room here. You want to go out and see all the birds that they have. So for example, in the next picture, you will find that they have these feeders, these fruit feeders. So you can spend a whole morning or the whole afternoon just sitting there, and there are nice birds coming just to the feeders, like in the next picture, the golden-fronted woodpecker. And again, if you pay attention, you'll say, well, they don't look like the North American species. And this is a subspecies, and European people call this the Velasquez woodpecker, because it's according to them, it's a different species. So it's a very interesting subspecies here, and they come to the feeders. So the next picture shows, for example, one of the trails. La Isla Trail is one of the most productive one because they have this middle range elevation, so we can have some good things from the lowlands and good things from the highlands. So the next picture shows, for example, the white-bellied chachalaca. It's another specialty for Northern Central America. It just comes in the Pacific slope, just in the very narrow area near to the coast, goes from Middle Chiapas to Nicaragua. So it's a very restricted area where the white-bellied chachalaca can be seen. The next picture shows, for example, that we are just on the edge of the shade ground coffee plantation. Here, exactly, and this picture is nice because we were taking pictures of the next our next specialty. So the issue from tanager. And again, I'm going to stop here because this is another member of the Big Seven. So right now we have the black-capped siskin, we have the pink-headed warbler, we have the horned one, and now we have the issue from tanager. This is related just to the Pacific coast in a very small range in elevation from about 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet to 5,000 feet in elevation, and just from the southern part of Chiapas and central Guatemala. So it's just a stripe of land where this bird can be seen. So Los Tarrales is the perfect destination to see this bird. Yeah. So we have some more things. And again, we can see Rob just traveling, walking around, looking for one of these nice bird that you can see here, the long-tailed manakin. This is one of the birds that is really, really stunning in the property. And again, we can see something. This is from the lowlands, and again, the set of birds can be seen here. It's really, really nice. And the last one that we're going to show here is the violet severin. This is one of the member of the welcome committee in the property. One of the first birds that you can see here is this violet severin. A very nice and cool bird. So this is Los Terrales. But we continue. We spend a couple of days, so we can see a lot. And then we go one of the nicest destinations in the country, that is Lake Atitlán. Lake Atitlán is the deepest lakes in Central America. It's the product of an explosion of a volcanic caldera 80,000 years ago. And well, it's essentially a pond because it's a big hole that is being filled with water in the last 80,000 years. So it's surrounded by 3 volcanoes at an elevation of 5,000 feet. We're still in the Pacific slope, but now in the Soto Hill people territory. So this is one of the hotels where we can use now, the Atitlan Hotel. The gardens here are really, really great. So for example, the next pictures will show part of the infrastructure. Look at this place. Early in the morning, you can see all the tonalities in blue and green when the sun is coming. For picture, if you like to take pictures of the landscape, this is the place. And then we have really good infrastructure because this place is famous for culture. Our live culture experience is good. So look where we're having breakfast just before going birding. And just by the side of these tables, we can see birds like the one I'm going to show, the yellow-bellied lania. They come to the gardens, or the next one, sparkling-tailed hummingbirds. Look at this tiny, tiny, nice hummingbird coming just in the garden. So it's a really great place to come. Or the next picture is a black-vented oriole. This is again one of these birds that can be seen just in from Mexico to Nicaragua, in the mountains again. Or we can see, for example, these Soto Hill people in the traditional fishing boats. You can see this strap is trusses that they use, is the traditional custom for the men. So we travel to the other side because there are several towns around the lake. So if we travel the half an hour in boat to get into the other side of the lake, and we can see some of these villages where we can have, for example, this weaving demonstration. Mayan ladies, they still keep alive the tradition of weaving. They're using natural plants, they're using barks, they're using vegetables, they're using plants in order to make the colors, and then make these very nice and very colorful weavings. And every single village, they have a particular pattern of color on the blouse and on their skirt. So this is a kind of code. So when you're getting into a big market and people is coming, going around, bringing things, taking things, you can see and you can recognize they are coming from a particular place, and even you can guess what language they're speaking because you can recognize this pattern of colors in the blouse and on their skirt. So it's very colorful. It's really, really good experience. But in the other side of the lake, where we can see this demonstration, there are a different set of birds, like the black thrush, another specialty from the country, or the blue crown chlorofonia. This is a really, really nice bird. It's amazing. And we are getting into this forested area that are more like a cloud forest. So find this bird in the middle of this green foliage. This is really a really impressive thing to do. But they're really, really nice. And then the next one is our national bird, the resplendent quetzal. In this process of training people, training local guides, they start to put attention, and they found that just by the side of the lake, there's a reliable place where we can see the resplendent quetzal. We have a couple of nice experiences looking for them, right, Rob?
Absolutely. It's really kind of cool to note on the northern Central American resplendent quetzals that they're what appears to be long tail, upper tail coverts. Is that quite a bit longer than the birds from southern South America? So it's neat to see the ones up in Guatemala because their tails are that much longer even than their relatives a little farther south.
Okay, so well, we're gonna change now from a different place, and we're gonna leave the highlands. The central highlands are done. Most of the good places uh, are now covered, and now we're gonna travel in the lowlands into the northern lowlands. We're gonna be into the Caribbean slope. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site in both categories, culture and nature. This is when I talk about national park, sometimes people don't get the idea, but this is a huge place. This is about 20 miles by side. So this place, and this park is in the middle of the Mayan Biosphere Reserve. So it's about 10% of the country in a one single area for conservation. So nature around is really under well-stated conservation. This is a place with more than 400 species, and we're an elevation of 900 feet, so it's hot and humid. Yeah, and this is the land of the Itza people. So the opportunity to have a good birding, because there are really good birds here, but getting into this very ancient place is a completely different experience. So it's really good. So this is the main plaza, and there's just about 2,000 structures just in the archaeological site. But as I mentioned, the park is huge. So we're gonna see that being in the middle of the jungle, we can have really good places to stay. So this is one of the rooms that we have in the hotel that we visit. It's very comfortable, very nice. And the next picture shows the place where we have the restaurant where we have food. And they even here they have really good food. They don't have just nice ingredients, but they have many recipes coming from the Mayan times that they want to share with you. Even though they have very nice international food as well. So the next picture will show one of the specialties that is endemic to the Yucatan Peninsula, the ocellated turkey. It's a very proud bird right there, attracting females, right? So this is one of the nicest places to see it because they come. This is a protected area. It's been under protection for more than 75 years. So they know that people is not they are not trying to take them. So they are coming and they are in flocks going into the main into the plazas, into the places where people is coming, and people get the idea that they are like domesticated. But at the end of the day, you can see when they are going back into the jungle and they go back to the jungle, they just to roost and to sleep. They just come here into the main plazas because they have that in these very short grasses, they will have all the time food. They will find insects, they will find seeds. So it's a good place to come for free food. Ocellated turkey is one, but we have some other in the next picture. This is probably the best, the easiest place to see an orange-breasted falcon in good view. We've been traveling with Rob, for example, in Belize, and you can see them in Belize as well, but they're like a mile away. But here, we are lucky enough that there's several couples now, orange-breasted falcons, making nests on the top of the temples of the Mayan structures. So there are some stairs where you can be in a good elevation in order to take picture like this, and they're just perched sitting in front of you. Another good bird to see here in Tikal, it's the next picture, is the great throated chat. This is another endemic to the Yucatan Peninsula. So that means Yucatan, Belize, and Guatemala, and that's it. So it's a good place to come and see this one. It's a funny thing because it used to be a warbler, and now it's a cardinal, and the most probably thing at the end is going to be a tanager. I don't know, but it's difficult to try to put this particular bird in a family for the ornithologists. We'll see in the future. So another one, it's a favorite of many people, a white-collar mannequin. And they're so easy to see because they come just by the side of the restaurant. So you can, if you like to take pictures, this is a kind of paradise because birds are going to come just by the side of your window. It's not going to be difficult at all. They just come because these places are setting just in the middle of the ecological site. So it's a great place to come. Another one is a Yucatan flycatcher. Again, by the name, you know that it's endemic to the Yucatan Peninsula. So it's one of these specialties. So as I mentioned, many different species in a great place. And then just ending our route in the country, we'll go to the Guacamaya Lake Station. This place is located into Laguna del Tigre National Park. That's the largest it's the more isolated place in the whole country. It's in the middle of nowhere. Because it's a wetland, you need to go one part in a car and then you take a boat. And for 45 minutes from the boat, you get into the lodge. You probably think, well, what kind of infrastructure a biological station can offer? Look at this. This is a very cool place. Not many people is coming here because not many people is adventurous enough to get like this, but they have a really good place. It's very comfortable. The next picture will show, for example, this is intended for people who really like to see nature. So this is a birding deck just in front of the rooms. And most of the excursion that we have, we can make in boat. Again, there's big rivers here, and we can go birding by boat because there are several birds that we really want to see. Like the next picture shows clearly the experience in seeing the gammy heron, just like this in the open. This is a place that is completely isolated, as I mentioned. So this is quiet enough that the birds are very comfortable behaving, even when we're coming with the boats looking for them. So this is a great place to see this bird. But there are some more nice birds. Black and white owls, they roost just over the lodge. Or the next one. These scaly-breasted hummingbirds, they come to the feeders in front of the rooms. So again, to take pictures, you can imagine how fun you can have. Or the red-capped manakins, they come to the fruit that are just in front of the rooms as well. So, great place. And finally, you can see some specialty like greenback sparrow, again, endemic to the Yucatan Peninsula. So very restricted. And just to make a final approach to the country, I'm gonna show this endemic to the Yucatan Peninsula as well, the wedge-tailed evergreen. That is seen very easy. They come to the fields here, so you cannot miss it. And this is the sort of bird that we can see. And this is just a glimpse of what Guatemala can offer. So thank you for the opportunity to share the birds and the culture in my country. Yeah. It would be a pleasure to have another opportunity to see you traveling here.
I'll say about Las Guacamayas. On my first ever trip to Guatemala doing a scouting trip, I was traveling with Maynor, and he had really downplayed what Las Guacamayas was going to be. They acted like it was going to be a rough biological station. And getting there on the boat and seeing this incredible lodge in the middle of nowhere in this incredible forest was really quite a treat. So it's a really incredible place to go. Do we have any questions tonight? You can either unmute yourself and ask or type in the chat.
Rob, what's the absolute best month to go?
Maynor, you want to take that one? When the best month to go is? Oh, he may not be able to hear me. I've traveled there in several different seasons. I find it really good from January through March. Has been my favorite times to be there.
And why is that better?
In addition to a lot of
in
addition to a lot of the resident species, you get you're getting some of the migrants that are staying there, and then as you get later in the season, they're coming back through as well. Maynor also mentioned that there's a lot of migrants right now, which would make that fun as well.
So all the way through the latter part of March?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm. And on your tours, how much contact do you really have to just wander in the towns a little bit and, just be able to hang around with people?
Yeah, we for the towns and things, we especially in Antigua, we do a city tour, but we also have free time within Antigua. It's a fantastic city to walk around in. And actually, I was going to mention this earlier and didn't get to it, but they have maybe the best brewery in Central America in Antigua. So that's another highlight. I like to go hit that while everyone's hanging out around town. And we do a really nice city tour around Lake Atitlán as well when we do it in one of the towns.
That's great.
Yeah. I have several questions here on the chat. How cold does it get at the higher elevations? It can get pretty darn cold up at the higher elevations. When we're at 8,000 feet and getting out there for the owls, it can be pretty chilly. So you got to have something warm, jacket to put on. But then you go to places like up in Baten where Tikal and Guatemala are, and it's very, very hot. So it levels itself out a little bit. I also have a question on chat of what is the weather like there January through March. It depends on your elevation, kind of like I was just talking about. So it's going to be hot in the lowlands and cold up in the highlands. When will the borders open? The borders are opening within the next couple of weeks for Guatemala, with precautions for COVID and testing going in. I don't remember the exact, there's so many dates floating around for all the Central American countries right now. I'm not remembering the exact date for Guatemala, but it is coming.
And how many species could I expect to see on a trip?
I think we tend to get somewhere between somewhere around 350 on our trips.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Welcome. We've got some. Any other questions?
Hey, Rob. This is Adam from Georgia Audubon.
Hey.
I missed the first couple of slides. Were you guys just giving an overview of some of the hot spots, or do you hit all of these spots on a single trip? And if so, how long is it?
We do hit all these spots on a trip. I tend to break it up into a main tour and an extension. So we do the mountainous region for about 8 or 9 days, and then have a 4 or 5 day extension up to Baten. So it ends up being 2 weeks, 15 days. All right, anyone else?
Quick question.
Sure.
Can you swim in Atitlan Lake?
I would guess that you can. I've never done it, and I've never seen anyone doing it, but I would guess there are probably people that do. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, there, as far as you've heard, if you've never heard that you're not to,
Yeah.
then you could if you wanted to.
Yes.
Because when I see a lake, I have to get in it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful lake. It would be a hard one not to get into if that's how you are with lakes. You would definitely want to jump in because it is very inviting.
And on just a side question to that, would you be able to work with someone who was signed up for your tour but wanted to extend to one environment or another? Help set that up with me? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of custom work outside of our scheduled tours anyway, so that's no problem for us at all.
Okay. I've learned it's no real reason to reinvent the wheel. Just go with the expert. I like some solo travel mixed in with the experts.
Yeah.
And I used to think, I just want to have serendipity, but I don't know. No, or maybe I'm lazy. Maybe there's just a lot more crowded these years than when I started. I don't know.
It just simplifies things when people do it all the time, and going with people, with local, how we work with local guides and stuff makes things just a little more simplified in the planning stages for everyone.
Yeah, simple is good, say the Shakers, right?
You're
Thank you.
welcome. All right, anyone else? Any other questions? All right, well, it sounds like that is about it for tonight. Oh, maybe one more. Hold on, chat just popped up. No, that's a thank you. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We're really having a good time presenting these programs. We will have another one in a couple weeks. Brian, my co-owner, is presenting on shorebird breeding. So check out that one as well. And we'll continue to post more of them on our website, and we'll have them on social media as well. I'll have one at the start of November with Carlos Bentoncourt from Canopy Tower in Panama. We'll be talking about birding in Panama. So don't miss that, and keep an eye out for us announcing that schedule as well. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Maynor, for coming and joining us tonight. Tell us all about your wonderful country of Guatemala, one of my personal favorite countries to visit. And it was great having you here tonight. And thank you everyone for coming.